Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Thank You for Sharing, a podcast about movies and music and what they mean to us. I just want to say, man, thank you for continuing to look at my videos and continue to support me, man. I mean, the overwhelming feeling that I've been getting from all of this, man, I'm so blessed. For people to just sit and people to listen to what I have to say. I probably am becoming way more repetitive because I keep saying this, but thank you, man. A lot of people are reaching out to me and just letting me know that, these stories that I'm sharing or this art that I'm sharing, that they can relate. And bro, that honestly means the most to me. Like, that means the world to me. In today's episode, we will be talking about Damien Chazelle, Whiplash. Now, this is a movie that, I'll give you a little background on this movie. This movie is kind of weird if you're not familiar with the music world. When I mean music, I mean in terms of like playing an instrument. I mean, I don't play any instruments. I took piano lessons for like a year. I halfway did it. My mom will probably agree, and I had to sit in a room for 30 minutes with a piano instructor who just clearly know I didn't know what I was doing because I didn't take time to really rehearse. So, unless you count that or playing the triangle, I'm not a musician. But this movie is about this guy. His name is Andrew Neiman, and he's a drummer. And like I said before, I know nothing about the drumming world. I don't know how serious it can be. I'm not sure if it's this serious. I mean, it could just, be elevated heights because this is a movie. But bro, the amount of drama that this director is able to bring in a movie about drumming, and I'm not hating on any of my drummers out there. It could be this serious, but this movie will make you care about this world of like going to this top-notch art school. Like, this movie will make you care about that as if you've been playing instruments your whole life. I think this movie is an intense movie. It's about a guy named Andrew Neiman, and he's a drummer, and he goes to one of the top colleges that you can go to for art. And the beginning of the movie opens up with him like playing drums. He's like sweating. He's really like going in. And this guy, you can just tell, you don't even know who this guy is, but his name's Fletcher. You don't know who he is in this scene, but you can just tell he has a certain presence about himself that everybody else finds intimidating. And so he walks in on Andrew playing drums, and, he kind of talks to him about maybe joining his band or whatever. But little does Andrew know that, like, bro, he's in for a world of hurt. He gets an opportunity to join the band at this top-notch school and play the drums to them. But little does he know, the instructor for this class is absolutely insane. Just take a moment. Think of any like teacher you had, any professor, any coach you had, Think of a coach you had that, maybe would have been hard on you, and a teacher that maybe, felt like was hating on you too much. And I want you to amplify that by 10,000. That is how intense this guy is. He abuses his students, not only verbally, but physically. There's a part of a movie where Andrew is offbeat or on beat. So he goes, okay, I want you to count. So Andrew starts counting, and he slaps him, and he tells him to start over. And he started counting, and he slaps him again. And he goes, was I rushing or was I slow? And he's trying to answer the question. He's like, and he slaps him again. Am I rushing or am I slow? And he's like, you're rushing. He's like, exactly. I mean, the amount of abuse that this dude gives to his students. Like, you just watching the movie, you know that it is completely a fictional thing, and you feel so bad. Or a part of you may be like, yo, bro, y'all need to stand up for yourselves. Y'all cannot literally take physical abuse. But that is how intense it is at this school, Schaefer. Like, that is how intense it is in this music program. The movie pretty much consists of us following Andrew, the drummer, and we kind of see different facets of his life. But we also see that he has a love for drumming, or is it kind of like he's just overzealous, or he's just so obsessed with this drumming thing that, is it good for him? Is it not? He meets a girl in this movie. He goes to the movies with his dad It's like a tradition that him and his dad has, and he notices a girl that he sees all the time there when he goes there to see his dad, and he works up the courage to ask her out on a date. And even as they're out on this date, he kind of still talks about music. I guess that's what us men do. When you're obsessed about something, you're gonna talk about it 24/7. Lord knows, So he's kind of getting to know this girl, but as this band continues to consume his life, he starts kind of falling away from this girl. That he this is the most blunt I've ever seen something. He takes her to this restaurant like on a date, and he tells her, he's like, "Hey, we can't do this anymore. I want to be a drummer, and that's what I want to do with all my time. And if you tell me to not drum, I'm just gonna grow and I'm gonna resent you. Then you're gonna go and resent me for wanting to be a drummer." And so he breaks up. It is the most clean cut, heartless breakup that someone can do. And then you begin to kind of question to yourself, like, this man's passionate. You have a dream about something, but is it worth closing everybody out to achieve this dream? And there's another scene where he's at a dinner table and he's with his family and everyone's bragging like, "Oh, Ronnie's over here is the captain of his debate team, and Joseph over here, he's captain of the football team." And then it's Andrew time to kind of talk, and he just talks about being a drummer. And like I said before, if you're not in this world, you don't understand what it's like to be a drummer, bro. You don't think it's that serious. But this man has literally blood, sweat, and tears. Like there's parts of this movie where you see this man taping up wounds on his hand from bleeding, from just trying to play drums. Like, it is insane. Like he gets a bucket of ice cold water and he's soaking his hand in the water just so he can continue to play, and he's bleeding everywhere. It's gross. But he's at this family dinner table and no one seems to take his dream serious. Like they're like, "Bro, you're a drummer. Like how hard can it be?" Little do they know he has a whole abusive teacher. This man is bleeding literally on his drum set. Like they don't have any idea about the world that he exists in at all. And so, he feels a little kind of hit by this. And so he kind of lashes out on people and is like, "Hey, like, I'm doing this because I want to be one of the greats." And then his dad, is like, "Well, the greats that you're looking up to are alcoholics or drug addicts." And so that just makes him kind of like even more mad, and he gets up and he leaves from the table. This man just has a dream, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this man's dream is healthy by any means. That's really the debate. Is this a dream or is this an unhealthy obsession at this point? Because there's a part of the movie where they're getting ready for this competition, and he's right into the competition. The teacher, being as anal as he is about things, he's like, "You need to get to this competition 2 hours early." So this man's on the way to the competition and the bus breaks down. And what can he do? He's like X amount of miles away from this competition. So this man runs and he gets a rental car so he can drive and be on time to this performance that they have. He gets to the performance and he's late. And the teacher's like, "Oh, nah, bro, like we're subbing you out." And he's like, "No, bro, you're not subbing me out. Like I literally have been bleeding, like trying to get to this moment. You're not finna sub me out." So this is the first time in the movie where he goes against this giant of a teacher. And, the teacher gives him leeway. He's like, "You know what? Like, this is the first time you kind of see the teacher like, okay, maybe I've met my match." But he's like, "Hey, if you're not on stage in 5 minutes when we're about to start, you forget about it. Like you're completely out of the band." So this man gets back in the car to go get his drumsticks. And as he's getting his drumsticks on the way back to the competition, this man gets in a car accident. And not no fender bender. Like he gets in a car accident, completely turns over, and is literally bleeding. He is literally bleeding on the way to this competition. So the guy who he got in a car accident with, he's like, "Dude, slow down, calm down." And he's bleeding trying to get back to the competition because that is how much fear that his teacher has instilled in him. Or we could say that's how serious he is about getting into this competition. So the man gets back to the competition bloody, disoriented, and then tries to play the drums. You can imagine how that goes. And so the teacher gets upset with him and like, "Bro, like you're done. Like that's it. Like get out of here." And as the story continues, you hear a little bit about the hero that this guy looks up to, and I say hero, but this, the guy Charlie Parker. I should have did my research to know if that's a real person, but I have no clue if that's a real person. But Charlie Parker, who's this famous musician, he's known for just doing things that people can't do on the drums, and he's also known for not having the best at home life. Which, by the way, like I heard that's pretty normal, dog. I heard it's normal for musicians to be so obsessed with what they have going on that they just neglect everything in life, whether that be their friends, whether that be their family. Like I've heard musicians live horrible lives. I had no clue. That's what I've heard. I don't know. Someone can fact check me on that. But naturally, as you can expect, when a teacher has literally, I just want to kind of touch on how bad this teacher is. Dog, I can't even repeat half the stuff he says, or this video could be taken down. Dog, it is that just wrong. It is that offensive. And, I'm not gonna lie, some of it's funny. It's probably not meant to be funny, but some of it is funny. I'm not gonna lie to you, bro. Like, he says some off the wall stuff that you're gonna be like, bro, that's funny. There's something so complicated about these characters. Like, everything in this movie is not black and white. Like, it's not one of those movies where, oh man, this guy has a dream. Like, oh my God, I support him. Like, I want the best to work out for him. And you do want the best for him. But if you're thinking of it from a realistic standpoint of view, like, in real life, if you were his friend, if you're a family member, you be like, bro, let that go, bro. Let it go. Like, you're done. Like, chill. Like, this is taking over your health and everything. One of the most pivotal points to me in this entire film is, so once he gets out of this car accident, and the teacher bans him from ever being able to perform in this band again, his dad encourages him to build a case against the teacher. But his dad kind of blindsided him with it. When he was getting ready to withdraw from the school, they just wanted him to build a case against this teacher. And you would be so surprised, dog, as much as this teacher has treated Andrew like absolute garbage, the dude doesn't want to build a case against him. And it's kind of sick in a way, it's kind of like he wants to earn this approval from this teacher, no matter how disgusting or no matter how just like horrible of a person. And I'm not even going to say the teacher is horrible, because there's so many points of this movie where it will have you questioning even your own character. You're like, man, this dude is horrible, but why do I sympathize with him? Why do I understand this character? Like, these characters are so complex. I love a freaking story with characters that are so complex, bro. Because that just resembles life. Like, we're complex, bro. Nothing is black and white. Like, we're complex creatures, and these characters are more than meets the eye. And so he builds a case. I went off on a rant there, but he builds a case against this teacher. He gets all these old students and former students to come and build a case against this teacher. As a result of this, the teacher loses his job. Now, you got to think, man, this teacher, despite his harshness, he is the most decorated professor. Like, he doesn't lose any competition. He has the best band in the most prestigious music program in the country. And it's so prestigious and it's so intense that the dude will make jokes like, man, if you can't take this, go be a doctor. Go pre-med. Like, that's insane. Everyone knows how hard it is to be a doctor, but not everyone knows how hard it is to be a musician. That's not satire, I was being honest. And so Andrew leaves not only the band, but he leaves the school and kind of tries to revert back to regular life. He even hits up the girl that he denied. That scene, it's like a dagger in the heart. And it's like, that he was the person in the wrong by ending it, but still watching him like go through the moods. He's like, hey, I got this concert coming up. I'd appreciate it if you come. And she's like, yeah, I'm gonna see what me and my boyfriend doing. Bro, that crushed me. My favorite scenes in this movie is towards the end. And then towards the end, Andrew is walking around and he finds this jazz bar. And, the jazz bar has the announcements of who playing. And, of course, it's his teacher. So he goes in and he sees his teacher plays, because who wouldn't want to do that out of curiosity? And as he's leaving, the teacher stops him. And he's like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry for pushing you as hard. And, they let me go away from this job. And they have this good conversation. And the thing that sticks out to me the most about this conversation is a phrase. You know, the teacher compares all these greats. He compares this great musician who had a teacher who would literally throw cymbals at his head. I was in band for like a day, and, you know, I would pinch myself on the cymbals, bro. That junk hurt. So I definitely know, like, how cymbals are heavy, dog. Those aren't just no, you know, whatever. So for this man to throw this disc like he Krillin at his students, like, it's insane. But he stated how that we wouldn't have this great of an artist if he didn't have a teacher that pushed him so hard. And then Andrew poses the question, like, is there anything as going too far? And then the teacher responds with, no, I don't think so. He goes, the worst words in the American language is good job. That is what he says to him. And at first you kind of think to yourself, like, bro, who would say that? But then you kind of think about it like, wow, like, what if he's right? What if the worst words is good job? Are people really going beyond their capabilities? Are they really going to push themselves if they have someone in their ear going, good job? Am I sitting here and condoning anything that he does? No, like, there's definitely, there has to be a way that we could communicate that. Like, there has to be a way that we can push somebody and encourage them at the same time. But it's like, you know, a lot of people would be like, oh, bro, like, no, bro, like, why would you say that? Like, oh my God, of course, tell everybody good job. But like, what if your favorite pieces of art in life came from somebody who had a hard teacher? What if your favorite pieces of art came from somebody who had a teacher that pushed them over the edge or pushed them to these inhumane levels? Like, does that make it right? Like, let's say if you're a Frank Ocean fan, everybody's a Frank Ocean fan. If you're not a Frank Ocean fan, you should become a Frank Ocean fan. Like, let's say if Frank Ocean had a teacher and they were the reason why we got all this amazing music from this guy. Like, is it worth it? So that is just like, I don't know. That is a question that will forever dwell. Like, when is it okay to stop encouraging people? Well, not stop encouraging people, but when is it okay to say good job? You know, can you communicate good job while also communicating or pushing somebody to this limit so they can achieve greatness? Like, it just sits there and it kind of makes you think. So they have this conversation, and he was saying, Andrew, you know, like, I'm sorry for pushing you as hard, but in a way, like, I kind of saw greatness within you. So he's like, you know, hey, I have this event coming up, this big concert that's coming up, and it has all of these guys who are representatives for, like, the Kennedy Center, like, and that's one of the, like, biggest things that you can do is become like a Kennedy Center main orchestra person. I don't know the correct terminology, sue me. So he invites him to it to play the drums. And he's like, hey man, we're playing Whiplash, which is a song that you've been practicing, whatever, why don't you come on out? So Andrews, you know, he's all giddy, you know, he's like, man, you know, I'm gonna call up Shorty and I'm gonna tell her, come through, you know, come kick it. Your boy finna be on stage, why don't you come through? And that's when she tell him that she got a boyfriend, you know, dagger in the heart. And he gets ready for this concert and he's feeling like, bro, like, man, like, the teacher, dog, he feels me. Like, he understands what's going on. Like, he's finally seeing my greatness. Like, you know, like, hey, he invited me to this. And so he's super nervous, man. He invites his dad. And right when it's time for him to play the drums, right when the lights come up, you know, and he's playing the drums in front of people that can absolutely change his life. Like, people who can make his dreams come true. And right when he gets on stage and he's getting ready to play the drums, the teacher whispers in his ear and he goes, I know it was you that got me fired from the job. And you're like, bro, what? So what he does is he sabotages this man's entire drum career. He gives him the sheet music to this song called Whiplash that they practice just for the band to do something completely different. So naturally, this man is panicking. Like, he is looking pitiful as he is attempting to play the drums to something that he hasn't rehearsed. I mean, I'd imagine the best drum player in the world can't just catch a riff like, and this isn't like no simple repetitive music, bro. This is really niche music, and so for someone to kind of like riff it, it'd be completely horrible. So this man gets to the point where he's just completely frustrated. He is completely defeated by this professor. He's like, Meryl, like, he's just completely defeated. And he walks off stage. He grabs his stuff and he walks off stage, and his teacher's there is just smirking. He's just happy. He's like, bro, I ruined this guy's life. And bro, honestly, he's completely happy. He's completely content with it. This dude has no soul, or does he have a soul? And so Andrew runs off stage, is embraced by his father. And his dad's like, come on, let's get out of here. And then you kind of see a switch happens in Andrew's mind. And he's like, nah, bro, like, forget that. Like, he doesn't say it, but, you can see it. This man goes back on stage and drums a drum solo that he's just been working on forever just to kind of show off his skills. And the teacher is kind of mad. He leans over, is like, what are you doing? Like, we're done. Like, you're done. And he just ignores him. And this dude continues to play the drum. And I mean, dude, this solo is, well, I don't really understand drums, but it sounds good. And he's just going and he's playing this solo. He's playing this solo. And he gets to a point where even his teacher, his professor, can't deny his greatness. His teacher, who wanted to who wanted to completely humiliate him, ends up getting on his side and really starts to see, like, man, maybe this is my Charlie Parker. Maybe this is my student. So while he's doing his crazy drums, dude, it's crazy. It's exhausting, bro. It's sweating, bro. It's bleeding. And in the middle of it, his teacher encourages him. The movie just ends with the dude finishing the solo behind closed doors. But then you think about all these questions. You think to yourself, was the teacher really trying to humiliate him, or was he trying to bring the greatness out of him? Because when the greatness did arrive, the teacher did not deny that. He encouraged it. Did he go about the right methods of doing it? No. So this movie just leaves so many like unanswered questions. Like, you just really sit to yourself and you think, man, is this teacher a horrible person? Or is he, well, he's a horrible person. Like, we'll be honest, but it's not mutually exclusive from being this person that wants greatness or who has a dream. Like, there's parts of this movie where this character, where the teacher is so empathetic. Like, you go from one moment of hating this. I mean, this, like I said, this dude is horrible. He's arrogant. He's everything that society teaches us to not like in people. But then there's these heartwarming parts where you're like, dude, am I feeling sorry for this guy? Am I rooting for this guy? Or you even beg the question, does this guy really know what he's talking about? Is it worth that he's done all these bad things if it can bring the best out of somebody? And I say all of this to say that I enjoy characters who are complicated, because I think that is more reflective of what real life is, bro. We're not all cookie cutter. We're not all like, it's things get way more complicated than just, what people try to be. And on the outside looking out, maybe this movie can be an inspirational movie, but I think when you really like pick this movie apart, the main question or the main thing that sticks out to me is the professor right about good thing being the most damaging thing in society? Is it making people more complacent than actually willing to reach greatness? Have we become a society that has made being comfortable too much of a norm, or should we be a society that is pushing people out beyond their capabilities, beyond their comfort zone? I definitely think there's a way. I am not by any means condoning majority of the of the things. Like, dog, you'll see this if you haven't watched this movie. You'll see this movie and bro says off the wall stuff. I am not condoning any of that. But at the same time, it really makes you sit there and think, like, everything isn't as it seems. Like, it leaves you with that question. I don't know if I have an answer to that question. This guy had a dream, but like I said before, anybody who's his friend, like, when it becomes this much of obsession? Should we support that dream? Should we be a fan of that if it becomes this to the point where he's physically harming himself? To the point where he shuts people out? Like, is that a dream or is that an obsession? Are we as people able to tell the difference? Because, at first glance, you're like, man, this man has a dream. Like, he wants to be a drummer. Like, oh, it's so awe-inspiring. Then you kind of get in the movie, you're like, yo, this dude kind of like, bro, tripping. Like, bro, kind of sick. Because why you going this ham? It just becomes this obsession thing. And I think what's cool about this movie, yeah, I mean, you would think, yeah, it touches on the fact that he wants to prove his parents wrong, I guess to a certain extent. But if anything, this movie talks about the relationship between him and his teacher. It's just such a complicated question. I don't think it's black and white. What's the difference between staying in our comfort zone, thinking we're achieving our dreams versus getting outside of our comfort zone? Going beyond that. I think that's what should be said. I think we should definitely get out of our comfort zones. But at what cost? Am I saying that it's worth that we have to go through physical harm? I mean, I don't know, maybe. They say this phrase that, pressure creates diamonds, but also that gives people kind of an excuse to just be horrible people and be abusive. And I think there has to be a way of doing that, but you're not gonna protect everybody's feelings. We're not gonna sit here and sing kumbaya, because that's still comfort zone. It's just you have to do it in a less toxic, chaotic way. I mean, dude, this dude goes crazy, but still he was able to pull like this student, and I can absolutely say that this student did not reach greatness without the help of his teacher. No matter how toxic his teacher was, like he needed the help from that guy to become whatever he becomes. We don't even know. Like the movie ends with bro doing a drum solo. We don't know anything from that. We don't know if he got offered a job from that or if he just went back into his regular life. Like, I don't know. Like, it's just, this is food for thought. You really sit here and or at least I think about it. And it's a movie about drums, bro. I wasn't caring about that before. I don't even know how I found this movie. I think I just stumbled upon this movie. I think I was just looking at Miles Taylor, like he was coming out in Top Gun, and I just came across this movie. But J.K. Simmons, the actor who plays the teacher, he won an Academy Award for this role. And honestly, if you were to sit here and watch the movie, like you'll understand because although this guy's a villain, he's kind of like he's far from an anti-hero. But bro is like harsh, but like I said, he's this character that is just fully flushed. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna be this bad guy and I'm gonna stick to it. Like, no, bro has so many. I can't even begin to try to explain. Like, it's just something you have to see in your free time. Are you a person in your comfort zone? We all need to do things to get out of our comfort zone. Do we need people? I know there's plenty of times where I've gotten advice that I didn't want to hear, or you hear it from a person that you don't care to hear it for, about, getting out of your comfort zone and doing stuff. Is that the only way to achieve greatness? By all means, I don't think so, but it is something you need to take into consideration, something we should all take into consideration. So yeah, I just kind of want to leave you on that note. I really don't, I'm just kind of spitballing. This is just really food for thought. I have no like dog, I don't know. Let me know if you think this guy is right to do what he did or if it's wrong. Because I don't think it'd be that easy. I think the argument can go like either way. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode. I just get so giddy about these things, dude. I'm just so happy that I'm just continuing to trying to be consistent with this and honestly just sitting down and plugging up my mic and just kind of seeing where my conversation takes me. I mean, this is off the top of my head. If you enjoyed this, tell a friend, tell your mom, tell somebody, share this with a friend, let me know Let me know in the comments what you think. Thank you guys for coming on this journey with me. I'm immensely grateful that you guys are coming on this journey with me, because that is what it, I'm still trying to figure out what all this is and what I'm trying to make this to be. But thank you for the patience, and thank you for this journey, and thank you for listening. Chris out. Yeah, that sound isn't long enough. Have a good day.